Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last day of this year's GSE UK virtual conference. This is session 9M from the Large Systems Working Group. With us, we've got Kushagrag and Vatsala, both from HCL. And they will be presenting and talking about enterprise scale IBM Rational Business Developer. Now, if throughout the presentation you have any questions, please write them in the chat box and we will raise them with the presenters and they will try their best to answer those questions. But at the end of the presentation, we will allow you to unmute. And if you have any further questions, you will be able to ask them by speaking directly to the presenters. So without further ado, Kushagrag, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, good morning, greetings for the day, everyone. Thank you for joining our session. I am Kushagrag Goyal. I will be presenting today enterprise scale IBM Rational Business Developer, often known as IBM Business Developer. Along with me, I have a co-presenter as Vatsala Ramachandran. She is engineering manager for RBD and KICS tools at HCL. And I am the development manager for Rational Business Developer. We are based out of Bangalore, and we had a session yesterday where we discussed about certain features that were part of the recent release of Rational Business Developer version 9.7. So today our plan is to elaborate more about the product, the features, the interface, the overall ecosystem, and a lot more. So as the agenda for today is introduction about the business developer, where we will talk about RBD, EGL, which is a proprietary high-level language which supports the development activities, the features, and the demo. Here the demo would be right in the beginning before I discuss or explain more about RBD. The reason is that once we have a live demo, then whatever I will be explaining, it would be easy for everybody, all the audience over here, to refer and correlate the points. The next part would be in today's presentation would be RBD ecosystem, the different components that makes RBD, how the overall generation or different activities are done, the supported environment and the target deployment environment. We will talk about that. Followed by the development cycle. The development cycle it means that for a RBD user or an EGL developer, what all activities they would do in order to make their application being deployed on an application server, or for that matter, it can be a ZOS, it can be any other application server, or even IBM I. Then we will talk about briefly the different users, the category of users that are using RBD at enterprise level, the different industries or domains in which RBD has been accepted and being used from several years. We'll talk about that. Then we will talk about the supported tools, because RBD is more onto development environment. Now, along with that, there would be several things that may be needed and are required actually in order to perform your any day-to-day operation. These like code management or database storage, or maybe exchange of data between two systems and all. So that is how everything can work cohesively, and can explain more details around that. And finally, we'll come to the last slide, which will be the thank you note. So let me move forward with the introduction. Now, in today's demonstration, we'll try to cover three different scenarios. The first would be an RUI app, which is going to be a Java-based application, web-based application, which will be accessing a DB2 being hosted on ZOS. Now, the connectivity would be done through the REST service. So we'll talk about the overall mechanism in which this has been done. The next part or the next area would be a mainframe app. Now, this is going to be a traditional green screen application, which will be using a DB2 running on a ZOS environment. Some database related operations can be there. We will also talk about what kind of operations can be done, how we can code that, and if we have to design a green screen, it can be how it can be done. Those all things will be there, and then probably we'll have a quick demo around the development of a RUI page, and we'll show you how quickly we can do and deploy, and how everything can gets integrated within the interface itself. And that's how that makes the life of every RBD user quite easy. Okay, so let me start with the interface. So RBD is traditionally an Eclipse-based IDE. Okay, so it comprises of different features, and when we build the overall product, this is how it appears to an end user. Now, today, the first demo will be on the web application. Let me first demonstrate you the working model. So this is one application that we have developed using EGL. That's all EGL. And it provides all CRUD operations. So let me go and try to fetch the data first. So all the data, whatever is present in the respective database, we can see here. Now, if I have to make an update operation, for example, if it's for me, let me 555. And if I do a get, okay. So now let's say if I have to update my name, details updated. Now, if I do a list again, it should display the updated name. So here we see. Now, this page is also available within the window, within the RBD itself. Here also. So, so that is also one feature where you can run an application within the interface itself rather than switching to a browser. But it's up to an end user how they want to do it. And similarly, we can perform add, update, delete. So let me show you the typical structure of an EGL project. So generally what happens is when we talk about a Ruby project, we create a project that would comprise of EGL sources and two parts of it. One would be handler, where any user can design their application. Now, when I talk about designing an application, for example, this appears to be all code, right? But we also have a design view by which any user can simply drag and drop multiple options that are available here, right? And can those labels or buttons are available, and accordingly you can set the properties also. Oops. So, for example, I think I accidentally deleted something. Okay, my bad. So we have a property window over here where for each of these, the properties are available. Those can be managed. We also have events. If we want to create an event based on click on any of the area, that is also doable. And accordingly, we can write a code to perform the operation. So this is all about the initial design part. So that becomes quite easy for any EGL developer also to design a page. Now, there are different, so I will not be going into very much details about how you are going to code, because that would be off topic and we may not be able to cover the entire session. But by setting up certain things over here, right, we will be able to develop an application. Now that developed application here, in order to make it access the database, which is running on on ZOS, the DB2 database on ZOS, we also have to create a corresponding code in EGL, which runs as a background to connect that Ruby page with database. Now, in order to do that, this is again a simple page. Now, if you look at the overall coding syntax, it appears to be quite familiar. Most of us have seen Java or C or C++ language, and basic syntaxes are quite similar. Of course, it cannot be identical, but yeah. So, in order to develop any the knowledge around this language, EGL, Enterprise Generation Language, the overall learning curve about this language is not too sharp, and people can pick this up quite easily. Now, another thing that I want to mention about here is you all are seeing the customers appearing over here, right? This is basically the database. Now, let me quickly show you one interesting thing. So let's say, so if I select this, do a right click, and I go to SQL record and try to retrieve SQL. Okay, so it has established a connectivity with the database, and it was able to fetch the details of the table, right? Now, you may have a question that what if we have to validate this with the actual database? We can do that within the interface itself. So we have another perspective, which is database development. Over here, by the way, this is already set up. So we can do a right click here, do a new connection, and set up the database connectivity. Now, if I go to RBD SIT, which is, I go to tables, and by the way, this is already, I have results, customers. And if I do right click to return all rows, it will run another query and will fetch the data. Here we are seeing the updated data also. So that this becomes quite handy when you are actually doing a development, and as an end programmer, you don't have to switch too many windows. Within one interface, you get all the features available, right? So that being said, now after writing the code, let me switch back to the main perspective. Now we have a part of our project which is called deployment descriptor. This is about explaining what is going to be the target environment. Now, after you make any change over here, you have to do a generate. You can simply do a right click on the project, do a generate, and it will generate the corresponding files. I'll explain the generation process in detail in the upcoming, in the few minutes when we come back, when I come back to the main actual presentation. Now, okay, let me move this part. So here comes a symbol which says deploy. So this one, what it would do is it will generate and create another project, or the REST web, where the most recent changes will come into action. So I go to the REST web. Under web content, I will see this page. Now, if I have to deploy it onto the actual server, right, I'll do run on server. Okay, let me undo the changes. I don't want to mess up the demonstration for this now. So if I go to run on server, then the options which are currently available, for example, I'm right now for demo purpose, I'm using Tomcat. So we can deploy on that. Now we also have access to multiple other servers also. Let me quickly show you that also. Now do a next and you can finish, and it gives you an option to restart the server or continue with the auto restart, and your application is deployed. So over here, now if let me go to the servers option. If I want to do a new server, along with Tomcat with multiple versions available, we have IBM Liberty, we have some basic others, JBoss is available. So we have many other servers available through which EGL can interact very easily. Okay. Another part that I wanted to talk about is, see, when we are doing any operation over here, as I said, this program has all the operations. Now, when we have to do any, let's say, any operation like add, fetching the data or any of that reason, right? Now, if I have to add a record, we don't have to write a lengthy SQL syntax, right? All we have to do is we have an object which is holding the data that is updated on the screen, and we do an add, and add will take care of adding it into the database. Similarly, we have different operations. Get is for fetching the data, replace, delete, all these options are available. So that eases out all the issues that a general developer can face on day-to-day basis. Any questions so far?
No questions this far.
Okay. Okay, then fine. Let me move to the next part. Next part is developing a green screen. So traditionally, that's what we call. So this is again the interface has been completely developed, designed, everything within the RBD. Here we are fetching the data from database and displaying it. Just for demonstration, this is only about fetching the data. You can develop more functionalities, more screens, and based on your business requirements, you can develop the entire application at enterprise level. Now, how this has been done? Let me quickly go back to RBD. So this is one feature where we provide capability to end user and EGL developer that they can easily design their app rather than getting into a code. They can do it very well through this option also. But when you have a capability of simply drag and drop facility, that really saves time. And again, for example, this, I have different properties available. Based on my need, I can set the values and perform operations accordingly. Now, this is about all designing part. Once we have designed this, then comes another part of using this function. So we have a very simple statement as use. What happens is using this statement, we basically have enabled this particular DB2 online program that it will be using new FM1, the green screen that I showed. And in order to make any operations, those operations we can write over here. For example, on PF1, what exactly we have to do, on PF2, what else we have to do, and so on. Now, again, I can go back here if I want to see any data that is related to this, so I can do that. So like you see, right now we have like around 25 records in the database and display. Let's say if I want to change 0 to 1, and if I do an F2, I get the data as this person. So these operations performing again and accessing, connecting to the database is very smooth. So one person being an EGL developer can take care of managing the DB2 operations. They can develop an application which can be deployed in as a web application also. And it can be used, that same person can develop an application which can be developed, deployed, and made to run on ZOS or even IBM I environment. Okay. Any more questions around this? And then I'll move to the next part of the presentation, the third demonstration.
There are no questions in the chat box. Guys, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please raise them in the meeting chat box. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now I come to the third demonstration, which is, so this is one page that we designed. Let me show you. Okay. Now this page I actually designed in like 3-4 minutes, not more than that, and was able to deploy it onto a local running application server. Let me just quickly show you how it looks. Need to unpin this. Okay. So very basic one. I click on this, welcome to RBD. If I click on clear, it clears that label. That's it. Now, if I have to really develop this, a lot of options are available. So if I have to add any button, okay, that button is available. I can drag and drop here. If I want to change its properties, and here I can change to nothing. And I can save this. Corresponding code will generate. Now, let's say if I want to add some event around it. Now, so I've selected this event options is there on click. If I want to do, I click over here, we see a plus icon. If I want to define a new function, I can do it very straight away over here. If I want to utilize any of the existing functions, that option is also there. And accordingly, my web page can be designed. Okay. Now, I'll simply do generate here. Let's say yes. I go over here, do deploy with EGL descriptor. I come to web content and my first, so this one I do as run on server. Next, finish. Let's say restart server. So it will take a couple of minutes. And here we see do nothing, and I can simply do this. Okay, another thing is if I refresh the page here, I do this, I can see the effect. So that is all I have from the demonstration side. If there are any questions, I can wait, I can take them, else I can move to the presentation. Okay, so let me talk about now what is RBD. So RBD, as we all have seen, is an Eclipse-based IDE. So we generally call that term as business-oriented programmers, where the person is, or a developer is, more inclined towards developing the application which is based on the business requirements, rather than understanding or picking a specific language to work on. That gives the flexibility of EGL programmers, that they can develop their applications without worrying about underlying implementation technologies. So it's a one-stop solution where users can use RBD for developing an application which can run on ZOS, IBM I, or maybe a web application. Now, enterprise generation language, as I mentioned, is a high-level language developed by IBM. It's a proprietary language and can really be useful in generating or developing an applications in fast-paced environment. Because as I said, the learning curve is not too long, where person can start learning and start implementing the things. And really, the best part is you try out few things, you can visually see them, and it gives more appeal to every end users, about the learning and the overall feel what they develop. So with the recent releases, we have enhanced RBD over the ages, and more features are providing, which we are providing as per the market trends. So be it cloud, making RBD ready for the cloud technology, that also we are working. We have recently provided REST and SOAP services also. So not only about that, RBD is or can be used on any environment. For example, if a user is on Windows or Linux or Mac, right, they can install the interface and they can start using it. Now this really helps in developing applications in a very fast way. Next slide. And you can develop applications which can run on Windows, Linux, System I. Web-based applications are also we can develop. We can develop mobile applications. You can develop TY screen, Kix screen, right, programs. We can develop a batch program also that can run on Z systems or on IBM I systems. So multiple platforms are made available through one product. We have discussed, I have talked about a couple of these in a few minutes back, where we provide web and mobile development, different technologies that are supported. The interesting one over here are that IBM is providing not IBM, RBD is providing seamless integration with IBM MQ, RabbitMQ, Apache Active MQ. In the recent release, we provided capability of publish and subscribe model in IBM MQ also. That has been accepted by a lot of customers. And data access application is one very interesting feature where you can develop a web application, in very few minutes. If you have a database definition ready, all you have to do is set up your workspace, establish an object of the database, and simply by dragging and dropping those, you can design a page, and all CRUD operations are available. Lot of SCMs integrate well with RBD. We support a lot of DBMS, DBMS, flat file systems also, vSAMs also. And interesting part is RBD comes with its own GUI based debugger. And couple of we have published a lot of white papers with respect to how these features can be used by EGL users. And another thing is we have published a paper on IBM debug for ZOS integration with RBD, which allows users to debug the generated COBOL code, and if there is an application which is written into any other IBM technologies, that can also be debugged. So that gives a very seamless experience to customers. Okay. Now, this is one area where things we will be talking more about the overall ecosystem of RBD, the different components that are there, how they work, and what action is done by each of the components. So with RBD, the three core components that I talk about are IDE, build server, and runtime. IDE interface I've shown you, but just by writing a code in EGL does not solve the mystery. So how you get a code which can run as a Java application or as a COBOL application? We have our own generators written, which interprets what is written in EGL, and based on the target environment on which we want to deploy the EGL application, a corresponding code gets generated. This entire process is taken up by IDE. Now comes the build server. This build server part is applicable when we talk about IBM I and ZOS only. What is this build server? So we have developed our own server which runs on the ZOS system. It will start listening from the time you activate it on a single port. Now, whenever we want to generate an application in COBOL, now one interesting thing is, okay, I'll go back on the screen of my RBD tool and will show you one more thing. I forgot to show that. But when we want to deploy an application, what happens is the IDE will interact with the build server. The generated COBOL will be sent over to the ZOS system. Now this COBOL file, will be again built over there. The object code will get generated and it will be stored in a DSN. But how the DSN, which DSN we want to choose? So that customization options are available. There are multiple scripts available. Based on the user requirements, those scripts can be customized so that the file, the object code which gets generated, which has to be on the load module, will reside into specific DSN. And accordingly, when we want to run them, the actual object or the executables will be fetched from there and will be executed. Now that is all about build server. But now is the most complex part, that is runtime. Now runtime is, you can understand it as a layer that runs on top of ZOS, IBM I, and also for Java programs. So for each of these categories, we have a separate runtime, which has matured over the years and provide a very fine experience to the customers. How this runtime works is, when the COBOL program is there, I'll give an example. For example, we have dynamic arrays. Now, dynamic arrays are traditionally not part of COBOL, but we provide that feature. Now, how that works? So there is a runtime that works in between the COBOL program and the server, and that facilitates this dynamic array concept at runtime and in real time also. So that is one thing we want to know in runtime. Now this runtime app, there are multiple. It's a group of several programs. Those have been developed into a lot of IBM technologies, assembler, C, PL1, and so on. Class, if you have heard of. So these different technologies are present, which runs in background to make it run on any of the servers. Any questions here?
No questions so far.
Okay. Now in the next page, in this slide, we will talk about how RBD enables versatile application development and deployment. So far we have seen a lot of things around. I have tried demonstrating them. That when you develop one application in EGL, it can be generated again. So as a ZOS COBOL application, it can be made to run on IBM I. It can be made to run as a Java application. Now that same program can be regenerated in different environments based on what we want to choose. So let me take a minute and go back and show you one interesting thing. So see, when we talk about generating a COBOL program, so we provide some information over here. for example, the host password details and port on which it is going to connect, the environment on which. So here we have a lot of options based on what is going to be my target area. So if it's ZOS batch or IBM, that can be done. Now, we also have a way by which we can set up different options about the DB2. We also provide support. The runtime is capable enough to handle different versions of COBOL also. So based on what version of COBOL you want to use, you can set that up over here, and you can generate your program and deploy it. And simply it will be sent over to the mainframe system. And all you have to do is, if it's a bash program, you have to submit your JCL, and you can see the results. And if it's a green screen, then again, same, you just do a new C, and the changes can be made with, will be visible. Okay. So when we develop any EGL application, it integrates very easily with other programming languages also. C, C++, Java, RPG, which is specific to IBM all these are available. We have reports options also available, where a business entity wants to see certain reports. Those all things can be designed very easily. We provide support to REST and SOAP, mobile application, web application, and batch and GUI. We have text UI we have already talked about. So these are the different things that you can do with RBD, one single RBD. Okay. So a few minutes back, I was talking about IDE, the generation mechanism, and what happens in background. So based on the program that we have written and where we want to deploy it, right? Accordingly, we have to set certain options in the IDE itself, and we do compile generation. So once that is there, based on the target environment, the target file will get generated. So if it's about a COBOL system, a COBOL file will get generated. If it's a Java or an HTML, that will be available. We can a user can easily do that deployment on either IBM Z or I, or if it's an application server, that can be done. And like I said, we support a lot of different application servers that is there. We are compatible with most of the browsers also. Now over here, I would like to talk about one feature, which is headless build option. Now, what generally happens is what we have seen so far is about a developer who is developing an application and want to do unit testing and all. But generally code promotion and all doesn't happen the same way in real world, in the large enterprises. So we have an EGL SDK, which can be activated through different scripts. There is some documentation available on a portal also about that, how it can be done. So large enterprises have customized that tool, they have developed their end scripts or some other mechanisms by which they do a headless build without having an RBD interface itself. So that capability is there. And based on that, they have their, if they have any X references available, that also are picked up and can be, generation can be done. Okay. Next, I like to talk about the overall development life cycle. So when we talk about compilation, so there are two ways you can relate about this compilation. One would be a normal day-to-day syntax. For example, if I go back over here and let's say I want to write something like ABC. I will quickly say and tell you that it is not able to recognize. So that is the capability of the interface itself, the IDE itself. And if I made a mistake, which is reflected from the server once the COBOL program gets generated, that information will also come back over here on the console, and I can rectify that problem and can start my compilation generation process. So what exactly is happening in the compilation? The system code that compiles your source code, and then compilation occurs automatically for your file changes. Generation. So we generate some intermediate files, internal references files, and during the generation, those are also referred, and finally, we start reaching out to the build server along with this information and final COBOL file, which will get generated or compiled on the mainframe system environment. And if we face any compilation issues or any of that sort, that information is made available to the screen. User can log on to their respective ZOS terminals also to investigate more around it, and accordingly, they can take an appropriate correction action and can restart this process again. Okay. Now, based on the deployment environment, we can choose what is going to be our target deployment environment, and we can deploy over there. After an application is made available on the system, if it's about setting up the database, or let's say if you want to set up certain other information, that preparation can be done. And finally, you have an up and running application. So with this, the overall environment or the feel that a developer will get is they don't have to worry much about other different environments that are being used internally. All they have to take care of is developing their application in each year. One thing I'd like to talk about is I talked about different versions of COBOL. So our build server, the overall generation process is backward compatible. Accordingly, we have a generation mechanism. Now, another thing is, whenever any new feature is added to the let's say COBOL, for example, JSON was some time back introduced. So we enhanced our EGL language so that it could provide such facility to the users also. So we provided two functions like convert to JSON and parse JSON, and using that one can develop their application where they can parse the entire JSON string, can store the records data into form of records, and can perform add operations on database to store the database. And simply if they are interacting with an outer world where they want to send a feed also, now they can simply do that by generating a JSON. Now, why I'm explaining is that we try to keep ourselves up market based on the recent updates that we receive on in the market, as well as on the IBM, because this product is dependent or works in conjunction with COBOL a lot. So what the release or development cycles of the product are quite a lot dependent on that. Recently, what happened is the COBOL on IBM I does not provide JSON support. So some of the customers reached out to us, and what we did is we enhanced our application in EGL support, so that a person or a user can develop their application using JSON on IBM I environment also. So that's a captive solution that we have developed of our own. So our development is based on 2 or 3 mechanisms, or the roadmap that we design is based on 2 to 3 mechanisms. One is what updates we are hearing from IBM, what customers are demanding, and third is if we come to know that certain features should be made available, then we plan our development activities in such a way so that the next releases of product can cater to those requirements. Okay, any questions so far? If there are any, I can take them up.
No questions.
Okay. Now I come to the users part. RBD is widely accepted across globe with different industries. And very large organizations are using this as an core business function. Applications are developed using RBD. A lot of banking companies, retail, travel and hospitality, they have developed their large extremely large applications through EGL. Now, there are certain companies which have developed only on mainframe based. Some are which have developed their applications only on Java based, and some are exploiting both the options. So we have users across different categories, and they have a very vague, different experiences with RPD. And no, it's not only about developing an application simply, right? They have been using it from several, almost like more than 2 decades now. Right? And their business operations are performing very well. And still we are providing upmarket features which keep them also abreast with the latest trends in the industry. There are certain and large enterprises which has a code base for more than few thousand programs in EGL. So it is widely accepted and easy to use. So it's quite versatile. Like I talked about different industries or domains. So in banking, financial services, insurance, whether it's they are based out of any continent or any geographies, they are using it. In manufacturing industry, we have retail, infra, travel and hospitality, federal department, media and entertainment, and even on the education side also. So some universities are also using it. So it has a large user base also. Okay. Okay. Next is supported tools. So this was all about RBD. Now, let's say you have a lot of programs. We cannot maintain them just by keeping them locally on the system. Now we need some SIM which can take care of the source control operations. So RTC, which is also known as Rational Team Concert, now it is called as EWM, Urban Code, Git is also, we have recently introduced support to Git also, ClearCase, etc. So a lot of SCMs are available. I talked about headless build mechanism. Now, customers can use that EGL SDK to develop their own scripts to manage their code promotion as well as generation cycles. We are aware of certain customers who have been doing it from several years. So if there are any further questions around this, or how it can be done, certain documents are available which talks about the EGL SDK, about the headless build, and a sample, I think, end script is also available for references. GUI debugger, we have a debugger of our own within the Eclipse environment itself, within the RBD. And if you want to debug an application which is developed in EGL and want to, while running on a batch environment, we can do that by integration of IBM debug for ZOS. Multiple application servers are supported, was Tomcat, Liberty, JBoss, to name a few. Messaging queues are also supported, IBM MQ, RabbitMQ, Apache ActiveMQ, and we also provide support to a lot of databases. DB2 I've talked about. We provide support to Oracle, SQL, IMS, etc. We also support file systems, sequential files, and vSAN files on mainframe side. So yeah, I mean, these are the few of the tools and supports that we get with our RBD. Okay. That brings me to the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them.
Thank you very much, Kushagra. So you are now able to unmute yourselves and ask questions. Alternatively, as before, you can write them in the chat box. So Kushagra, this was a very nice presentation. Very nice topic. You've covered everything very eloquently. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I see no questions in the chat box. One last time, guys, if you want to unmute yourselves and ask questions, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, as Kushagra mentioned, and in this slide here, there's both Kuchagra's and Vatsala's email addresses. I'm sure they will be welcoming any questions after this presentation, if you have them.
Absolutely. And I have provided certain links to the product, to the language. Please feel free to read them. And if you still have any questions, you can reach out to me or Vatsala. Our email addresses are present here. We will be happy to receive your questions, and we'll try to come back with the appropriate details as early as possible. And if you have any feedback for today's presentation, please, I have provided the link here in the presentation. Please do share your feedback. That will really help us in improving ourselves. And if there is anything interesting you want to see about RBD, do let us know. We will arrange that session separately and can do a demo.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, I see no one asking any questions, so Kuchagak, Vatsala, thank you very much for taking the time, and for the attendees, the participants, thank you as well. And I hope to see you later on our next presentation. Thank you all.